Hi, you guys. Sorry, my videos. Well, I'm not really sorry. I'm just saying it, but that my videos seem to be kind of political bent lately. But I I watched Eric Stackleback, and of course, I'm not going to be able to remember names, but it's the blonde girl journalist. I've seen her, and I didn't know she was like a human rights activist, but all of us really kind of are. She labeled that as herself that, but she does the news pretty much, and she fights for the rights of her people, the Jews, and so I guess yeah. Uh, but they were bringing up Iran again because yeah, no, Iran hasn't been in the news lately, but I have continued to pray for them. I know how dangerous their jails are. And because in my post, you can listen to those two ladies, their experience. They're Iranian and they were arrested because of Jesus Christ like 14 years ago. But I had made a video, um, you know, a few days ago, maybe before they stopped talking about Iran. But I didn't upload it because I was kind of rambling and it was very long for just the few ideas that I was bringing up because, yeah, everybody is wondering. They're like, where is Trump? And I had seen on the Rosenberg report, and also I think Eric Stockelbeck as well, was the Jewish version of James Bond. And so this is how long ago it was. I don't know if you'll be able to get that on Eric Stockelbeck Tonight TBN because they don't put all of them on YouTube for some reason. But anyway, uh, the Jewish James Bond, he thoroughly believes Trump is going to do what he says, and so do I. But nobody can really understand why he is stalling. And then, of course, the Iranian people were going out in larger crowds, probably out of guilt. I'm sure there were plenty that didn't participate. And then when the casualties started rising, and then there were some defectors, you've probably heard those videos of the ones that are kind of defectors, the children of the Islamic Republic, something, the IRGC. That's not standing for Iran, it's standing for Islam. So it's Muslim. Okay. So anyway, I think more started going out on the street. Well, I did a video that I didn't upload that I was saying what I think is why it's not like he's stalling, but every now and then news clips will have a blip on them, a blip of information, and if it strikes you as wow, then you remember it. Or they might say something that makes you think of something. So I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was a blip of news information, something about somebody over there didn't want this to happen. So they cut their airspace off and they scrambled the airwaves. So I did a little bit of research because I don't know if military aircraft can still fly in scrambled airwaves because, they're military. Maybe they're immune to all kinds of things like that. But no, as I suspected, this isn't a stall by Trump. It is, and then I Googled, because I didn't remember who. I Googled, I know Saudi Arabia are good guys. They're part of the Abraham Accord. But Qatar and Turkey are not our allies or part of the Abrahamic Accords. They don't like us. I know Qatar gave him a gift of a jet, probably paid for by pay and slay a Jew, or they get their money off the backs of people. But anyway, I don't know much about Qatar, or any of them for that matter. I don't even know where they are geographically located. I haven't bothered to look that up. But if they say they're against it, and I do remember back when Israel was and America was bombing Iran, some air scrambling was going on. And yeah, so why was I saying that? Okay, so, and then I heard once how Trump was, speaking with some of the Arab countries over there. This was probably his first term. It was a big deal that somebody over there opened their airspace for Israel to fly through it, and Trump was on the plane. It was like a big deal because they usually have their airspace closed off to Israel for anything. Not like Israel's going to go over there for anything, but it was maybe for commercial flights to somewhere else out of there. Okay. So yes, when this stalling was happening and it was gaining traction on the news, and the crowds in Iran were growing larger and everybody's waiting, and those ships were the Abraham Lincoln ship is heading over there and stuff. And I Googled that. When is it going to arrive? And it's going to arrive between the 23rd and the 25th of this month. So it's like snail. Okay. But that was before people were talking like, are you guys stalling? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm with the Jewish James Bond. Trump isn't going to okay, so whether you agree or not about Trump says a lot of things that he doesn't do, whatever. But when it comes to something serious, he does do it. When he says things and he doesn't follow through, those are usually less serious subjects. But this is a very serious subject. This is a huge enemy in a huge territory, which is Iran, which is a huge territory outside of Iran, including all those Muslim nations. He is not going to say something that serious against such a large mass of enemy territory to the world, right? Iran, I think, is the biggest. But all those countries are kind of intertwined. They're kind of frenemies, something maybe. So you can't really trust all of them fully. And yeah, when the rubber meets the road, you find out who is really on your side. So if you Google it, I just did some Google searches. I said, can a military aircraft fly in airwaves that are scrambled? Can a military aircraft fly when they're not allowed in the airspace? I specifically used America. So the little talking lady said, like, right now, Qatar and Saudi Arabia have told Trump and Israel, you can't use our airspace, and she'll actually give you some information on it. And so she'll say stuff like, the tensions of blah, blah, la, la. So, yeah, aircraft, that's why he's sending a big ship over there. Okay. And who knows what other plans he's got to back that ship up. But you cannot fly military, U.S. military aircraft in airwaves that are scrambled. That's why he's not doing it. He, I'm sure, has talked to them. Please let us in. Let us do this. It's just bizarre that Turkey, because Turkey and Qatar are clearly not on our side. Okay. Saudi Arabia is. But it's Saudi Arabia that's saying no. And Qatar. I don't know where Turkey is. So if we need Turkey to not scramble the airwaves, they're not going to listen because that's Turkey. But Saudi Arabia is our ally in the Abraham Accord, so I don't know why they would say no and scramble. You know, okay, so this is just, and I had a few other points, but I think that's one of the reasons, and it's a huge reason. It's, if there were no other reasons, that would be good enough reason. You can also look things up like I looked up, like, does Qatar have a military? Does Turkey have a military? Does Saudi Arabia have a military? Does Qatar have nuclear weapons? Does Turkey have nuclear weapons? So I shared a clip, a short, in my other video last night of the interview with the Saudi crown prince, one of them. I think there's more than one, but him. Maybe there's not more than one. Well, anyway, so he said that Iran's military is so nil. It's so nominal, wimpy compared to, just like I just said, IRGC. That's their military, but it's really a bunch of terrorists, Islamic terrorists running that country as their police, but they're not really police. So maybe Trump is planning on doing more than just Iran. You just don't know. I mean, but I didn't look at a map, but somebody that it would be interested in, is there a way he can go around those airspaces that are scrambled? How many miles does it spread to scramble? I mean, he's sending a ship over there. Even a ship needs clear, what is it called? Navigation. I mean, if the airwaves are scrambled, even that ship has to have some navigation waves, I would think. I mean, it's not just for the air, I don't think. It's also down on the ground. Okay. So, yeah, I think it's because of that. He's probably negotiating and trying to get the planes over there, but because he said what he said and meant it and found out that they're against him and they're not going to cooperate with the airwaves, he sent that Abraham ship, because that didn't happen immediately, I don't think. I think they started cruising that ship well after Trump was making his threats. And when those Middle Eastern countries, Turkey, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, found out that he was serious, dead serious, then they're like, they're like, we're not going to let you in. So that's when Trump sent that ship, I think. But still, um, once that ship gets over there, I don't know what it can do. It probably has some nuclear, maybe not nuclear, but some kind of bomb things. I keep picturing in my mind these big cannonball things, that they used in World War One or before that, the Civil War. I don't even know about these wars, y'all, but they had those little cannonball, those big cannonball things with the big wheels on them, and they shoot a cannonball. I mean, I don't know what they have on those ships. I think they can fly in aircraft, but too bad the Jews can't invent something to unscramble airwaves. Or maybe Elon is shooting up some more Starlink to help, but I don't know about technology either. So I don't even know if that would do anything because they're scrambling that too. So that's my brainstorm on why I think that nothing's happened yet. And I hate the fact that the Iranian people might think that Trump left them high and dry because he isn't and he won't, and he might even have more ideas than just Iran. I don't know how big Turkey is. I don't think Turkey's very big, and I don't know about Qatar. I don't know how big they are. We wouldn't do anything with Saudi Arabia because they are now on the Abraham Accords, but that's probably just for Israel, not us, right? No, I don't know. I don't know what that's about, but I'm not political, okay? So, yeah, if those countries are kind of small and they don't have any military worth of shit or any nuclear stuff, then I don't see why uh, Trump couldn't. I mean, Qatar is pretty majorly rich, um, more so than Turkey. So you probably don't want to bother messing with them. But, uh, it's like oh, I said it in my other video. It's not like I said, so I forgot I didn't upload that. But it's like I was saying in the other video too, is that he also has to be ready on all fronts. I know Israel has said what it said and they chopped him off before they didn't give the other half. But that was actually what I had also said before Bibi said what he said. Like, oh, wait, we need to prepare. Um, I don't even know why he said that out loud, but I was thinking that, yeah, before Trump goes into Iran, he has to make sure there's enough to spread out, to spread around. He's got to have things reserved to go protect Israel. He has to have things preserved to keep their eye on China, keep their eye on Russia. Because when we go to attack an ally of China and Russia, which are very big, you're gonna have to watch your back after that because you have just hurt one of their friends. So yeah, I was saying how there are a lot of variables that you have to. Of course, it's called war. You have strategy. You have to have strategy, and you have to be strategic. And when he said it, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. But he also knew probably that we have some people over there that won't cooperate, but he probably also knew that, yeah, I don't remember, but you can brainstorm it yourself. Don't be so quick to use your own brain. Why do you have to have the news tell you what to think? And if they're not telling you what to think, you're lost. You're like a dizzy little freaking spinning top or something. If they're not telling you and there's some missing pieces and you're like, wow, why the big gap in information? Just start thinking on your own. It's called critical thinking. It's called giving people the benefit of the doubt instead of pointing the finger immediately. Because the Iranians, I know America, I think they had a bad reputation in America once for a while for some reason, but Iranian people are very moral, very family oriented, very loyal. They're very constitutionally sound. I mean, there's a few that are sketch, like in any culture, but they are. And most of it, not most, I don't know how much, but there's a big Christian population that's underground. Anyway, so yeah, that is also in the bloodline of Jesus. You know, you have all those Middle Easterns, pretty much Syria and whatever the picture is on my post. There's several. Persia is one of them. So yeah, they're good people. I mean, I don't know why for the life of me we have Muslims in here. And then they're trying to take over. I mean, we know what Muslim is about. They're radicals. They want to take over. They don't compromise like other religions. Okay? They don't compromise. It's their way or the highway. And their goal is to take over the world. So Iran isn't like that. There actually is no country. That Islam started in the 7th century with Muhammad himself, who was a pedophile, married a 6-year-old. So that is a demonic spirit that can't, I mean, this is a testimony, and it is a testimony of Troy Brewer. I saw him in an interview on a channel. I don't remember the name, but the guy's channel, he's also kind of like a pastor. I think he's bald. But I mean, I don't remember if he has just a little bit of hair or no hair. So, but anyway, Troy Brewer was over in some horrible country, like where they're beheading the Christians. I don't think it was a Middle Eastern country, but it's one of those countries where they're Muslim. And they are coming in and genociding all the Christians. Okay, well, Troy Brewer said he and his wife were in that country ministering or saving child sex slaves. Like they do a lot of that. And he said that this little dot appeared in their room right before they were getting ready for bed. Okay, it's a long story, but my point is maybe I'll find the video and link it. That little dot was a demon, okay? It was a dot of light that was emitting no light, but it was a light. And it said to him and his wife sitting right beside him, they were both in shock, and it was saying the most heinous things, he said, that it just terrifies you. It's saps all of your faith, and it's almost like it was a dagger that injected him and his wife with pure undivided fear. It was like it was a spiritual thing. Okay, so they were staying at somebody's house, an old man's house, Christian, and when this spirit, first thing he says is, I'm going to kill you tonight and your wife. I'm going to kill your wife in front of you, and I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill blah, blah, and I'm going to do whatever. And that thing was kept talking and kept talking. And they both tried to rebuke it in the name of Jesus and get thee behind me, Satan. And nothing, it wasn't going away. I forget. Oh, he said the most important thing. He said the only thing that got rid of it was they put their heads together and their faces together, because they were beside themselves. They're very strong Christians, but they had nothing left but to say Jesus. And they said, Jesus, come, please come help. Jesus, something like that. Jesus, we invite you, help us. And then it went away. Then, so his wife was so exhausted, she passed out, fell asleep, but he couldn't go to sleep. So he went walking, and he was in the bedroom, pacing, praying, all this. And then he thought, well, I got to get out of here. I'm going to interrupt her. And so he started going into the house, into the rest of the house, and praying. And he sees a light in the distance that somebody's in the house awake. And he said hello, and the old man said, yeah, I'm in here. And I don't know, the guy was sitting in the dark but with a little light on, and when Troy walked in there, he was just kind of sitting. And Troy, I think, started saying, you won't believe what happened. He said, oh, I bet I can. He said, did a demon come into your room? And Troy said, yes. He said, did it say, I'm going to kill your wife, and then I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to do this? And the old man started naming off all the things that the demon said. Okay. And Troy's like, yes, yes. And then the old man said, that is the demonic spirit that possesses Islam. And when that spirit comes here in my house, I know that they're on their way to genocide. He lived in that home. He said that means they're on their way, meaning passing through or coming in that town. The old man might have been notified by that demon. Anytime the Islamic band of criminal terrorists was going through anywhere in that country, I forget what country it was. And the old man said, it's the demonic spirit that runs Islam. And that means, if that demon showed up, that means the Islamic parade, whatever, cavalier, whatever that word is going to be here in, like, I forget, like in 24 hours. So in other words, they need to move to higher ground. They need to hide, right? So yeah, it is nothing you'll be able to pray away and pray they get saved. It is, like I said in the other video, where it's a principality. Kind of like the principality of Persia that time in the Bible. It is a principality that has legal rights. And because it has legal right, it probably by God, because God has to have an enemy to fight against. Yeah. So, and then Troy Brewer said, he said, in whatever time, like within 24 hours or whatever, that cavalcade passed by like a mile from the house. And they run in a pack to go to the towns and villages to kill off all the Christians. Okay? And it's a spirit. It's a demonic spirit that oppresses and possesses the Islamic religion, which is from probably Esau also from Ishmael. Esau is a Jew, but he's a bad Jew, right? Is he Edom? And then, but Ishmael is half Jew. Now, I don't know. Jews will say, I don't remember what it is, but they'll say if your mother's a Jew, then, but your father isn't, then you're a Jew. If your father's a Jew and your mother isn't, you're not a Jew, or you are a Jew. I don't remember which is which, but I know that with Ishmael, Hagar was Egyptian, so she was not a Jew. So the father was a Jew. The mother was not. So Ishmael is not a Jew. I think that's how it is. I don't know though, and it's not important. All that it matters is that this Islamophobe, yes, we need to say that loud and proud. I'm not going to get a complex. This whack society, politically correct, is never going to give me a complex. I'm still going to say Mexican. Do you know that that's one of my favorite things from Taco Bell is a Mexican pizza? They took it off the menu. And my boss and his wife are so far left, politically correct, stupid dummies that can't think for themselves. They went along with all that mess. And I was ranting and raving, and they're like, I don't remember. I was at the dinner table, and it probably wasn't about Mexicans. It was probably about something else and one other nationality. And they were like I said, a bad word. And I said, oh, so that makes American a bad label, doesn't it? Don't call me American. If I can't call her a Mexican, you better not call me American because that'll offend me. Oh, you're a German? Oops. I shouldn't have said German. You're a German. Oh, you're a Russian? Ooh. I better not say Russian or German. No, you're proud to be an American. You're proud to be a German. You're proud to be an Italian. See how dumb, demonic it is? And they get the whole world to go along with it. I was like, no. They finally brought the Mexican pizza back. It was like they were trying to make us believe we're saying a cuss word or a racial slur by saying a Mexican pizza. Yeah, it's Mexican. Just like if I want to go to a Mexican restaurant. Oh, it's Hispanic. No, it's not. It's Mexican. Now, when you have a large, like when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona with my ex for a while, he had a house there and we went there in the winter. Now, I went to church there and it was predominantly Hispanic. But see, I'm from Texas where the majority of the Hispanics are Mexicans. But over there in Phoenix, not so. You have a lot of Hispanics. But they're because at the table, I'm like, okay, so are you guys Mexican or why are you all the same? You're all brown, you all look alike. Meaning you're the same. You look Mexican is what I mean. So, and I don't even know how that came up, but it wasn't anything that I said that was offensive to them at all. Because who would be offended by being told you're Honduras, that you are Ecuador, El Salvador? So that's around the table. They were all saying, I'm so-and-so from Ecuador, from El Salvador, from whatever all those Spanish, Hispanic countries are. So when I was in an area where it's so mixed, no, not all the brown people were Mexican. So it was more honorable to say Hispanic over there. But when you're in Texas, you're never going to find Ecuador, El Salvador, really. You're not going to find any of those Hispanics. They're mostly Mexicans. And they should be proud of it, okay? It's like saying if your mom is Mexican and your dad is white, you want to say you're proud. I am half Mexican. I am half white. Just like I would be proud. I'm half Irish. Actually, my dad is half Scotch Irish. So my dad is fully Irish, as in Scott and Irish. So, okay, so where was I going with this? I forgot a long time ago because I was thinking about it as I was talking. I thought, uh-oh, I'm not going to remember. And there went the point. So, darn, I wish I knew. So anyway, I think this is not stalling. I think Trump is going to do it, but they're planning strategy. They're planning strategy. And the Iranian people are good people, and the Islamic people are a demonically run. They're run. Okay, that's why you see a bunch of nonsense, narcissistic, arrogant, gaslighting, twisted, mangled up mess morals of these far left who are getting in bed with the Islamics because that's what they believe in. They believe in chaos. So anyone who partners with that is going to become reprobate because they are partnering with it all. They're partnering with the lies and the rebellion. It's all it is rebellion against God's creation, God's moral compass or moral law. They're rebelling against God's life. Satan is jealous of so jealous of God. So he wants to destroy people. But all I'm saying is there's a demonic spirit running all that, and it's the devil is for all or nothing. He's all or nothing. That's why I was thinking the devil is even more faithful than us Christians. He at least he knows. He knows God's word. He believes Jesus, and he even trembles. Even the demons believe and tremble and obey God when God gets on them. Now, but they're very diligent. See, they're very faithful to their evilness and their wickedness. So it's not something to be played with. And like that clip I shared in my other video, that country they brought up, as soon as that guy became king or president of that country, it's the first thing he did, clean out all the Muslims. He got rid of every single Muslim, and all the Muslim children were not done away with, but the ideology was stripped from teaching anything of it. So this isn't something you can be friends with, okay, or be passive with, or try to get along and be unequally yoked with, as in we can coexist and cohabitate together. You will never be able to coexist and cohabitate with Muslims. And everything comes out of their mouth is distortion. It's a lie. You can fact check everything that comes out of their mouth, and everything you'll find is a lie. They make all this shit up because the devil is a liar. If you ever want to know if something's demonic, just put Satan up against it. Who is Satan? He is a liar from the beginning. He's out to kill. He's out to steal. He's out to destroy. Okay? And Islamics, that's what they are. Kill, steal our rights, our standards, and destroy our standards, and kill our standards, and take over. Because the devil doesn't want just a foothold. He wants everything. But I guess you can't play around with the devil. You can't play around with Islam. You just have to get rid of it. You cannot try to be nice Christian with it and pray for them and pray about it No, that is something God has set that demon over that. Whoever walks into it and wants to be like it, they're instantly took over. They're instantly taken over. And I mean, I don't know how you would pray for something like that. That is just a demonic spirit that God has given him a certain amount of power, and he's allowing it, just like he did the Prince of Persia in the book of Daniel. And obviously, that Prince of Persia is back, and he's been back because Ecclesiastes says, what has been done will be done again. Just like when Pompeii got that volcano thing, everybody died. Right before it came, they were writing Sodom and Gomorrah from the prophecy. And this was after Sodom and Gomorrah. But there's a prophecy that's like, such and such will be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, they read that and they thought, oh, here comes Sodom and Gomorrah again, because it was. It had all the telltale signs. So what has been done will be done again, probably multiple times over. So this king of Persia, Prince of Persia, he's still over. He was over Iran when that Khomeini came to power in the 70s or something. So yeah, God obviously allowed that Prince of Persia to have dominance all this time. And it's bad. Or, I mean, it's about to hopefully be gone. But this Islam, I was trying to Google it one night. Is there a Prince of Islam? And I couldn't find anything. I think they said it was Edom, or I don't remember. But the thing about that is that Muslim is from day one demonic and false. So it basically doesn't need a special principality over it because it was demonic from the get-go. Do you see what I mean? Persian didn't start off as a rogue. I mean, I know they had their own religion, but everybody did. But this Muslim was it's a death cult. It's the only death cult. There's nothing like it in the world. And it started over there in Saudi Arabia, where Muhammad lived. That's why, well, Arabia, I forgot what I read, but it think about it. What religion starts like it did in Saudi Arabia, which wasn't very big, but it grew. The nationalities grew. You see what I mean? The nationalities involved with it grew. Usually when there was a pagan nation, the whole nation was the same culture. But that's the only religion where it did not stay within their culture. It's like Christianity, see? It's mimicking. The devil always mimics God. So it's mimicking, spreading out to the whole world. It's got all kinds of nationalities. It is not only Arab believers. No. Look at how it took over Persia. Persia is not Islamic. Persia is not an Islamic country, and they are not Arabs. They're Persians. And they had another god before Muslim moved in. I don't remember who it is, but they had that god. But when Esther came and became queen, I don't know if Artaxerxes became a Christian, not a Christian, a Jewish. God gave the Jews all the rules of humanity. Okay? And every king that ever converted to God, God's laws, God's commandments, became a Jew believer in the one God. You see what I mean? But they're not really a Jew. So Persia, way back then, with Esther, was able to spread. I'm saying it's Christianity, but it was before Christ. But Christ is God. The Jews just don't know it yet. So Christ, let's say Christ, before he came in the flesh, He's up there as God, and he wrote a book called the Torah and gave it to Moses. And even before that, it was like the Jews, Abraham knew God's law because Jesus, before he came to earth, was God up there running the place. So Jesus basically did. He gave Abraham, starting with Abraham, God's laws. And so all these books in the Bible, if they're pagans or if they're bad Jews, bad kings that are Jewish, I'm just saying they spread it throughout the whole world. They taught the whole world there's one God and who he is. But the Muslim, Allah is not our God. It's not Jesus. It is a different pagan God. But they want people to think, they want the Americans to think that we have the same God, and we don't. So they didn't stay in their nationality. The Italians, the Romans, the Germans, the Russians, all these cultures probably had their gods before the Jews spread the real God around to everybody, and whoever caught on, whoever didn't. They have their pagan God, right? And their pagan history of gods. So I'm just saying, Islam is a disease. It's a demonic, sick, vicious, vile, death cult disease. And it cannot be prayed away. It has to be pushed back. Just like in the Bible, God told King David and other kings to kill that breed. Whatever breed God said were bad, he said kill them all. Saul did not listen, and look what happened. That's probably why we still have it today, and it could be Islam. But that was before, I think it was before Islam, but still it's that same demonic spirit, you see, like the Prince of Persia during that time had a principality of the air. So this Islam has its own demon that God is allowing that demon to run with it. So yeah, of course it's going to be hard. Persia, Iran, I'm sure. I mean, and honestly, it's not about Trump anyway. It's God sways the hearts of the kings. Now, I know that there's a bunch of bad kings in the Old Testament, and he didn't sway their heart. But, that just means he didn't sway their heart, and they did their own thing. And plus, they chose to do the wrong thing. But, ultimately, it's God who's the one. Because look at that president. Was it Nixon, who, when Golda Meir called at 3 a.m. and said, we need your help, he would have never done that. He didn't want to do it. But it's something in him. God struck him with a memory by his mother saying, you're going to save the Jews one day. And when he heard Golda Meir, he immediately was like, his spirit jumped, and he's like, yes. He didn't need to think about it, nothing. He gave her whatever she wanted. And that's what you call God swaying the king's heart. So when push comes to shove, if God wants something done, he's going to get it done. It has nothing. Trump could be lying all along about it. Trump could be a liar about everything, which he's not. But let's just say, if he lied about everything, maybe he lied about Iran, God could still make him do it if God wants him to do it. And Trump wouldn't have any choice, because God would be swaying his heart to do it. Because God ultimately will get done what he wants done. He will let evil reign as long as he wants it to reign. And yeah. Okay, so I guess all this to give you just my little bit of information, and in my own words escape me, in my own, not epiphany, but whatever. And it's never too late. It's never too late. It's never, because yeah, if he was able to do it like when he said in his first ultimatum, um, God would have had him do it. And maybe for all we know, there were already some pushback. And he's not going to go out and tell the whole world what's keeping him stalled. But we all know as Christians, and we easily forget, that God can open doors, God can close doors. Ultimately, it's God's timing. We could have the best intentions and it won't happen. And then meanwhile, everyone's getting murdered. And oh, that never would have happened if, don't be so sure about that. Because this is why God gets so mad, is because we give men too much glory and we don't give God enough. We don't give him enough credit. That's what he does. That's the one thing, one of the many things he doesn't like. One, I don't know, maybe just one. He doesn't like it when he's not given the credit. Look what happened to the king that got turned into an ox for 7 years. Other ones that he's going to die, and he prayed and God gave him 15 more years. So we have to be careful to avoid not giving God the credit. Now, it's not like we're going to sit here and say, God, I give you the credit for this massive delay. I don't mean it like that. I just mean it like, give God credit that it's not a delay. It must be for a reason. And it's God's reason. Because Trump, obviously, from what we know about him, he is a man of his word, depending on what your opinion of him is. So he's pretty much a man of his word. If he was not, and this still happened, and you had your doubts, then still it's up to God. The whole point is we can blame and we can complain and bellyache, but if you let that go on too long, you're training your brain to blame, like it happened in the garden. Oh, that woman you gave me made me eat it. Oh, that snake you put in the garden made me eat it. It started in the beginning, and God says, put away the pointing of the finger. And he wants credit. If when you sit there and try to blame other people or either give people credit, either one, God's up there going, excuse me, excuse me. It's almost like somebody is in the room. You know that saying? It's like, you're talking about me like I'm not in the room. I'm right here. You know, when people say that, when you're talking about them, and then they're like, I'm here in the room. If in case you haven't forgotten, I'm sitting right here. I think God does that a lot. So we're over here wringing our hands saying, why the delay or why this? And is Trump this? Is he delaying? Is he game playing? Is he this? Is it? Well, when there's gaps in the news, like I said, try to piece it together first and use some sense and just say, God, I complained a little bit. I pointed the finger. Yeah, I confess I'm sorry. But in the end here, like King David, he'll complain or whatever. Not that kind of complaining though, but similar maybe. But in the end, he says, but I trust you, God. I magnify you, God. God has the ultimate say. He's the one that tells that devil what he can and cannot do, or allows it. So we have to always keep that in mind, that God gets the credit. Don't give man credit. God hates that. He hates it. And if you're going to give a man enough credit to where you're saying it's his fault or he's a liar, You're giving him credit. Don't give him credit. You got to give God the credit. God allowed it. That's what I've been saying it from the beginning. Sometimes there are attacks from the devil, but still, even then, God allowed it. You would have no power over me unless it were given to you from above. Given you the power over me from God. Devil, demons, unless you invited it. That's the only other way. It's the exception. If you invited it in. Okay. I guess this is it. If I think of what I was forgetting about the Mexican thing, then I'll probably watch the video and see what it was. And then I can, okay, but it's no big deal, probably. Okay, bye, and God bless you guys, and keep them in your prayers because those prisons are deadly. So if they say there's 8,000, they arrested 18,000, I think they said, they could all be dead. And if they're not all dead, they could be getting tortured. They could be holding them at gunpoint and telling them to abuse each other, torture each other. They're sadistic, you guys. It's Islam that's running that country right now. And they like to be sadistic like Satan. So they might make them rape somebody. They might rape them themselves. There's too many of them in there to get to every single one. So they're going to torture them in different ways. And that's just something I was thinking. Because according to these girls' testimonies, I don't think they have toilets in those prison cells. And Iran, a place like Iran, isn't going to have many prisoners, just like Saudi Arabia has no crime. Because if you do one crime, they will chop your hand off. So there's no crime there. It's pretty close in Iran. So if people, they're not going to put up with crime over there in Iran. Come on, it's communistic. So if there's low crime, that means they don't have many prisons, and the prisons they have aren't very big. So for them to have added 18,000 more people to them, whatever they're calling, they're not criminals, then that means they're packed in there like sardines. And who knows what they're doing to them. And they do it to women. They'll rape the hell out of every single woman in there. I mean, pray for impotence. The man's pee-pee to be impotent. I pray that. I pray they defect. Because Jesus has been visiting the Iranians face to face for probably 20 years now. Maybe 25. And it's not like they can go out and witness to other Iranians, because if you witness to the wrong person, they're going to turn you in and you're going to go to prison. So Jesus does visit them face to face. And then they kind of find each other, and Jesus will lead them to who is a Christian. Well, now that these Iranians, give me liberty or give me death. That's what these Iranians feel right now. They're like, I would rather die. So we can't really feel that sorry for them. They would rather die than live like under an oppressor, under a tyrant. So, yeah. I bunny trailed. So, yeah, I pray that the Christians, if the Christians went rioting as well, then if there's some Christians in those prisons, they can now witness, because all the ones they're in prison with in the cell, they can't turn them in and say, hey, she's a Christian, throw her in jail, because she's already in jail. So whoever is a Christian Iranian that's been thrown in jail right now, they can witness. They can witness. And they just can't witness to that guard, because that guard will rip her out by her hair and go slice her neck. So, yeah, I pray that the guards, it's an Islamic demon that is running it, along with the Islamic demonically possessed people. But they're forcing it upon a non-Islamic race, the Persian race. They're forcing the Islam upon them. So that means that unless that Iranian accepts that they are a Muslim, unless they accept that, then there is a chance for them to become a Christian. Right now, the Iranian population basically is doing all the Islamic things because that's the law. It doesn't mean that they worship that. That doesn't mean they have converted to being a Muslim, but they're forced to practice Muslim laws. You see what I mean? So if these prison guards are not converted to Muslim, then Jesus, there's a chance. And think about it. They could take the keys to the doors and stick them in every cell that they can have access. I'm sure one guard doesn't have access to every cell, but he might. Maybe they're sectioned off, but he can sneak the key in and he say, do not open these doors until I say so. And then they, so when he gives green light, then they all each unlock the big cell that holds like 50 people. I don't know. And they all burst out at the same time. And then they can light the place on fire when everybody is set free. But you can't light the place on fire when there's people stuck in there. But see, we could pray for things like that, like a defector that'll go get the keys. And like I said, you can't let just half of them out because then the other guards will not be overpowered. You need this big crowd to overpower, but whatever. You can think of your own way to pray for them, but I also worry about the crowds in the street. How are they drinking, eating, sleeping? Where are they sleeping? If they go home, is there going to be an IRGC waiting at their door? How are they changing their clothes, showering? Where are they going to the bathroom? They're screaming at the top of their lungs for who knows how long on end. They need food. They need water. They need to go to the bathroom. So I don't know. I mean, we just see videos. We don't know. I mean, what do they pack it up, go home and come back the next day? I don't think so. I think that once they stormed the streets, I think that's died down now, but once it stormed the streets, they have to stay out there. Now, maybe some go home. It's not like maybe it evens out. Like some go home and come back, and then some go home and come back. I don't know, but I've been wondering about that. I'm like, how can they stay in the streets like that up 24 hours a day, marching, walking, screaming, chanting? And they got to eat, they got to drink, they got to go to the bathroom, they got to sleep. And I'm sure they're thirsty from doing that. And so, yeah, I pray for them, their strength, because some might just be collapsing of exhaustion. Because like I said, when you go home, is there somebody waiting for you? And how can they maintain that large crowd? But I think they're under control now and they're not allowed to be out there doing that anymore. So, okay, well, bye, you guys. God bless you. Bye.